I'm
Rebirth.
here with Keith Ellis and Bob Kubota.
Bob Kubota.
We just got done doing a show in Yuma.
This is the first episode since the
First
rebirth of
episode since the rebirth we
God.
did over the.
over the COVID thing. Now, how many times did you get COVID?
It was me and Keith did the COVID thing.
I
together.
see.
Was that back at the apartment?
Yeah, when I did it with you,
Yes.
and I called you up on the phone
And Bob was sitting in that chair in the side.
How many times did you get COVID?
3 times.
How many times did you get COVID?
Haven't had it.
Me
That I know
neither.
of.
You don't know if you had it then. You never checked.
Well, that's right. Exactly
Because
right.
You should know. You should check.
Well,
No,
I mean, you could tell me
I
anything.
never lost my
Yeah.
smell or taste and never got
I
sick.
never lost taste.
So
I
this,
never
is
lost
this the
anything.
first time you've heard me talk about it on stage?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you?
First time I heard it.
Yeah, I've had a COVID 4 times.
Because you
since
got
then.
blasted with your boosters. That's why you got it.
Yeah, inhaling them chemtrails. Quit looking up.
Exactly.
So was it none of you guys got boosters?
Fuck no.
Oh.
No, you don't need it.
Well, wait a minute. I did get a
It
booster.
wasn't going to kill you anyway.
I did get a booster.
No matter what, it wasn't going to kill you. Unless you were fucking 600 pounds and you're 90. What?
He's only 400.
I'm just passing misinformation
290.
here.
I'm not. So yeah, I was actually not. I was scared more that I was going to get it and pass it on to my children.
Well, that was what they want you to be scared of.
They did want me to
Even
be
though
scared.
the kids were in no danger of.
They wanted me to
So
fear
you
it, too.
never even thought about it.
No.
To a degree. I did to a degree because my mom kept pushing it.
Sure. Well,
You
that's
need
it.
to get your
They
shot.
tried to
You need to
guilt
get
you.
your shot.
What'd you do with your beer?
Oh, I
Check
still
it
have
already?
over
No. All right. Well, this is a good start. The
Well, just
COVID's conspiracy. So, what year is this? Is this 2025 that we're
Yes, it
discussing
is.
today?
That's right.
So
And
when
nobody
you
talks
so
about it
during
anymore.
so during COVID,
Yeah.
what did you do?
I just fucking laughed at everybody.
What'd you? So did you sit out in front of your house and laugh at people running by?
Yeah. Like,
Sheep.
running by,
Sheep.
people driving down the road with their mask on by
Sheep.
themselves in
Sheep.
their car. How can you not laugh at that shit?
That I think stupid.
Right.
I did agree with that.
That was good. That
So
was,
when have you flown since COVID?
No, I just flew 2 times this year for the first time since 2019.
Did you wear a mask?
No, hell no, nobody did.
Not in the plane at all.
Maybe one person.
I agree with wearing the mask in the plane. Just in general, don't want to.
Well,
get
in
sick.
general,
don't want to get sick.
well, look at I could see that more on the cruise ships because they were passing,
Yeah.
those viruses back and people getting sick on cruise ships anyway before COVID, just like getting.
I could say like
Pukey sick.
2019, like it was me and Flip Schultz. I had
Flip
got
Schultz.
I had got
Spent a time
2
on-
days of
with
the,
him.
the chills and something else, and I was like, man, why am I getting the chills? And then in 2 days, I went and had some chicken soup, and it was done.
Yeah.
Flip got on the ship, and it was the second week on the ship. All of a sudden, he got like just sick. And I was like, chicken noodle soup, got it. 2 days, he was done. I had lost my voice that one time. I was like, I won't be able to perform.
Really?
That went away, just like that.
Yeah,
Huh.
that's it. That's it.
I stayed in my room. I sweated it out. I did push-ups, everything else, and the next thing, like, I'm good.
Now, if you already got a questionable immune system, it might be an issue. But if you,
Why would you do push-ups?
Because when any type of illness, I always say you can sweat it out. So that's what
true.
I do. I
That's true,
sweat
too.
whatever's in my system, work
he's
out.
in good shape. You've seen
Work
this
out.
guy work out.
Yeah.
Work out. So that's why I'm like, 2
So
days.
how many times do you think you've ever been sick? Like I've been sick this year. I think I've been sick 4 times. Then
4
I come with a
times?
sinus infection.
Since the beginning of 25, you've been
Yep.
sick 4
Yep.
times?
Yep. I've been sick quite
well,
a bit.
You need to get your immune system checked up in general.
So you didn't eat dirt or tree bark like I did.
Your diet
Yeah.
probably sucks.
Well, my diet does suck.
Yeah.
I will agree with that.
Yeah.
My
So-
diet sucks, but I still eat.
But I
used to eat
haven't had
odd
the
stuff.
flu since I was a kid.
Yeah.
Do you get a flu vaccination?
No,
Man, you don't get nothing.
no. And that's why I always said, well, I don't get the flu. I'm not going to get the shot
Do you
for
do
flu.
any natural
I try to.
Natural,
Try to some
natural
extent.
remedies?
Yeah,
You believe
I
in
got,
like,
I got a lot of supplements,
like
and stuff
zinc
like that.
and
Yeah, absolutely.
vitamin
Vitamin
C.
C, D, zinc, all that stuff I take. Yes.
you believe in
Correct.
supplementing with those?
I
yeah,
try, but-
and to start with, and then if I kept getting sick, I might go to a higher level. I might go to a more,
Licorice.
So is that
pharmaceutical version of it.
Is that over the counter?
Yeah.
Zinc? I
Sure.
don't do because it makes me lethargic.
Oh well, that's see,
I
everybody's
don't- so when
but
I do-
everybody's different. That's the
Yeah.
thing. It's not like that. Vaccines aren't good for everybody. They're good for some people, but to wipe them across the board and make everybody, it's like saying any medication. Everybody should take this one medic. No, that doesn't work that way in medicine, and they're lying to you.
See, my mom's 95. What is she? Steak, chicken, everything else.
Yeah.
not
She
sick.
doesn't take any medicine.
I mean, she does take medicine now, but other than that,
And how old is your
prior to
mom?
that,
How old?
95. And there's other people
95.
that smoke, and they can live to be 102, and they smoke every day. But then the other person died at 29.
But you know who did not get COVID much?
Who?
Smokers.
Why is that?
Nicotine is actually a
So it
fighter.
blocked?
It's actually a viral fighter.
It
Ju-
blocked
Not
it?
the smoking part, but the nicotine part. A lot of people don't know this, and they go, "Oh, that's conspiracy theory." But no, many doctors have actually said that it's actually it's a blocker. It blocks certain viral things. But nobody wants to get hooked on nicotine. See,
No.
but now there's some doctors are recommending just chewing nicotine gum and stuff. If you start feeling sick, you'll actually start feeling better.
Only time I got sick is when the dentist gave me penicillin, and there's anaphylactic shock. That's about it.
You're
That-
allergic to penicillin?
I found out, yes. I found out being in the hospital. But yeah, other side of that, I
What
haven't.
happened to you?
Dentist. The dentist was
What
giving
happened
me
to you?
something.
What happened when you got the allergic reaction?
They were telling my sister-in-law. She said after the dentist.
Oh, you don't even
I was-
remember it?
I was home. No, I got the rash, and she was like, brother, are you allergic to? I'm like, no, I'm not allergic to any penicillin. All these years I've had penicillin, whatever. Next thing you know, she's like, that's a rash. I'm like, I didn't pay attention to it. So the next day goes by. Next day go by. My face is swollen up. I'm just like, she's like, I think you should go to the hospital.
That happened to me.
Okay.
That happened to me on amoxicillin.
Yeah,
I
see?
never been allergic to it, and then all of a sudden,
And then you were allergic to
one
it?
day I just sat at home and I'm like, man, my feet hurt really bad. And then I looked, took my shoes off, and my toes were like all swollen. And then started getting rashy. And then all of a sudden, in the middle of the night, I noticed my neck like a frog was like growing. And I was like, I'm allergic to penicillin, I think, or amoxicillin. And my wife's like, you'll be fine. I'm like, I'm not going to bed suffocating from amoxicillin.
yeah.
So I went to the emergency
Their
room.
throat all clenches up. and you
Yeah,
can't
I wasn't
breathe
gonna
and
deal
shit.
with that shit. So
Well, for 3 days, I told her I got into the. I said I'm gonna go to the emergency room just because they were. I had some kids that was like, you need to go check it out. I got there. The lady's like, how long has this been happening? I'm like 3 days, and she hit me. She's like, pow, you could have been through anaphylactic shock. And like your throat didn't swell up. I'm like, no, I was just swole up. And they went in and got me like 6, 7 pieces, different types of medicines, the IVs.
Benadryls.
You need to carry an EpiPen with you.
Oh, really?
I'm like, what?
Really?
Huh.
Yeah, 'cause, I mean, you see the picture of me.
So you must have a
I'm
really
done.
bad reaction to that.
Yeah, but I'm like nothing else. I was still breathing, still talking. I'm thinking it'll go away. It's just the infection from the tooth. That's what I thought. They were like, no, you were going through anaphylactic shock. So I stayed there for 5 hours.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, this goes to show you, not everything. These things work for some people, but not everybody. See, nothing's across the board. Even though they try to tell you every single human being needs to take this.
But you know how you
That's
do that
never
as a study?
way.
As a study is like 1 out of 50. I'm like, stop where there's more than one person on that side of town. So stop doing that side of town, 150. Do everybody if you're going to do it. And you can't be keeping up with these numbers.
And if we lose a few people along the way, hey, it's for the greater good. That's our attitude. It's
Yeah.
like, no,
That's what the Bible says.
no.
It's casualties of war.
Yep, that's
Yeah,
right.
right,
That's
right,
what the
right.
Bible says.
Friendly fire.
So let's get
Anyway,
off of the
let's get off of this.
conspiracy theories.
Let's get on to
Let's get into comedy.
let's get on to comedy.
Let's
theory.
get into comedy in 2025.
comedy theory. Yeah.
Comedy
I got
2025.
jokes on COVID.
What do you feel the state of comedy is, as you as a veteran comic, Bob? What do you feel the state of
The
comedy
state
is
of comedy
right now?
is fractured
Why is it fractured?
because of everybody's sensibilities. Well, we have to go back to conspiracy theories, but it's the brainwashing of the public into all these different little fractious groups of political correctness and wokeness and all this other. Now these things that you could say like 8 years ago, 10 years ago, but now it makes people cringe. But
Yeah.
before it didn't make anybody cringe.
Do you think that's
Where does that come from?
You think it's gotten better now that
Better?
we've had a change in administration, or
Well,
do you think
no,
that
no. And in fact, it drives people even further apart because the hatred is so severe, of each side. Each side going both ways is so severely hate-filled, nobody can agree on anything.
So do you feel now with the new administration, comics are going to try to be more edgy just because they feel like they've been held back?
If you got your crowd, if you're in your crowd and that you're fine. That's it. But it's about your crowd. It's just like what you said just about that other comic. We won't name names, but the lady got really mad and started yelling at the comics and stuff like that. And it's just a joke, but she couldn't take it as a joke, and
Thanks, sir.
that whole deal. So it's kind of like that. You see more of that. Still, the most of the audience, I think, enjoys what's going on and gets it. But there's always somebody who's going to object and then vocally object and actually stop a show because they object to it.
So we discussed Bill Burr today. Do you think that his new comedy special is more edgy, or do you think it's being more
I haven't
tamed?
seen it, but from what you tell me,
It seems more tamed.
it's sort of.
It's guarded. It's very guarded.
Yeah, well, that's the way I felt it was going, but I haven't seen it. So, but you just helped me confirm that maybe that's.
It
where
just
it's going.
seems like he's walking the edge of compliance.
Right.
He's being compliant now.
Yeah, well, that's it. And that's not what comedy was supposed to be.
No, especially him. He was
Right.
supposed to be.
Right.
So what do you think, Keith? What do you think the year of 2025 so far, since we've changed administration, how do you feel comedy has either evolved, changed, or stayed the same?
It's evolved. I mean, it's evolved in a not so good way because people don't want to hear the truth.
Yeah.
They don't want to hear the truth. If you got something to say and your jokes is like about whatever, it could be gay, life, black, white, people are like, oh, yeah, you know, that's offensive. Oh, people don't want to hear the truth. They want to be carried and babied. You know, walk me through. Don't say that. Don't say that word. Don't say. It's like, no.
Right.
If you can't handle it, that's when I say I'm not PC. And a lot of people are like, oh, good. We get to hear the truth. Or I can be PC and cater it to you and make you happy.
It's really a freedom of speech issue. Is really what it is. Because now it's all they're trying to edit the way you talk and tell you how you should talk, and that's censorship. Really, is what that is. And so,
But it's been like
and
that
both sides
before.
do it. Right.
It's been like that before.
Sure. but
Right? Even back in the day with,
Right.
what was that comic's name that was always getting in trouble for
Carlin?
before him?
Right. Oh, Lenny
Red-
Bruce.
Lenny Bruce.
Right. Well, starts there, but those are the lines between broadcast and live. You know that those rules were always sort of, oh yeah, you can't say that on Carson. You know that whole thing, and you get that to a point because of but the live performance was never that way. Now it's different. It's almost like flipped. You know, the live performance. You know, you can't say this, can't say that, and on TV you can get away with seems like a lot more stuff. You got newscasters cursing now. You got
Oh, yeah.
you know, all that kind of stuff. It's like when I grew up, there was none of that.
No, now it's like encouraged to be edgy. But you think, let's think of Lenny Bruce now.
Yeah.
Do you think he would have been even allowed to do the comedy that he used to do? Because now, with social media, with everything that's out there, it actually would be more televised than it was before.
Yeah, no, he would have had to suffer the same consequence that anybody else is, but he was so far over the edge at his time. That's I think that's what gave him his reputation as well, though, too. So in a way, it was an underground way, it was a good thing, and it did open the door for guys like Richard Pryor and George Carlin to express the way they expressed.
Right.
At least in the live setting, and then a guy like Red Fox. These guys were filthy, but you had to go to Vegas to see them, right?
Right. You had to see him live.
Right.
Well,
Or
it would
buy
have
their
been
album.
more televised, but back then it was more televised. Well, because it was funny.
Yeah.
Now it'd be televised because
True.
they want to check.
But think about the amount of outlets that they could do now.
Right.
With comedians, they could take that and people could blow that everywhere across the entire
It seems like
social media platform.
It seems like the negative gets blown. Like, look what he said. Now that gets shot out more than it's funny.
That's what I feel like right now with that new comedy special from, God, his name's slipping my mind. What did I just say it was?
Bill Burr.
Bill Burr. Is that it just feels like he's not walking that line because he's trying to be compliant.
And see, like, when you say that, it's like, okay, so now that's one of the things. Never let the audience dictate your set.
It just doesn't seem like the same guy.
I don't want to offend nobody.
Well, that's
I don't
it.
wanna
That's
hurt
what I
anybody.
think.
And I didn't watch the whole thing, to be fair.
Authenticity is supposed to be part of the game, and when you're not authentic, it tends to show, and that's when you can, you might gain some followers, but lose some followers at the same time because of compliance or non-compliance. But that's not what he was all along. And then when they start becoming compliant, then it becomes a less interesting thing.
Do you feel that comedy is going to, like, I think comedy now also has become very, it's almost like the Whack Pack from Howard Stern. Let's
Yeah.
go to Kill Tony.
Right,
Everybody idolizes Kill Tony as the new
Right.
comedy platform.
right.
But most of the time, people who get on Kill Tony are people who are doing their 1 minute and then they're either getting made fun of and blasted, or they're getting praised for their 1 minute and they're getting their time.
Right.
Where I feel like that's the new world of comedy, because young comedians now are edging more towards get on Kill Tony.
Right.
Get a social media presence.
Right.
Be constantly out there doing shock and awe.
And try to be outrageous.
Yeah, and just be inappropriate as much as possible
Sure.
to get more views and attention. That's
Sure.
my thoughts process.
Well, I think you're right about that. You know?
So now it feels like comedy with Bill Burr, which a lot of comedians look up to.
Mm-hmm.
You got his new comedy special out. I watched first 10 minutes. It just seems like it's kind of more tamed than his previous comedy
Well,
specials.
you mentioned Stern himself. I believe he's marched into the field of compliance.
He has, because he wants the money, right?
Exactly.
He doesn't want to be edgy anymore.
Right.
He's got a lot of celebrities on his shows.
Sure.
He's got more presence on the national scale with a bunch of higher celebrity present, like celebrity radio and everything else. Like, it's no longer the whack pack. It's like
Right.
we're now interviewing George Clooney, and so
Sure.
I'm looking at comedy in the same world where when you did comedy, you were on Star Search.
Yeah.
You
Well,
were on Star Search.
before I knew what comedy was.
I know, but you were on Star Search, and everybody had to try hard to get on television, do television.
Right.
You had to work
Right.
at a craft of comedy
Yeah.
to where it's not like it is today. Like,
Right.
I feel like comedy now is going down this direction of get as much negative, I guess you could say, attention as possible.
Attention is attention, good or bad.
Yeah, and then that'll get you more views.
Yeah.
And then more views get you more airtime, which gives you
Right.
more stage time.
Like when you hear about somebody who's just vilified and hated, this guy's so controversial now, and you can't, they say all these horrible, and they're just horrible. You want to go look it up and see it.
Right.
You don't.
So do you think that's a good way of approaching comedy?
Well, I don't know. And then when you see it, then you can make your own call. And then but you still got to see it, right? So everybody wants to see it anyway,
Right.
good or bad, So, but I think putting those things ahead of the idea of being just funny, funny should be first,
Right.
and then all the other things should come next. So when it's all these other things first before you even decide whether this is funny or not, that's what it seems like comedy has changed in that sense.
What do you feel, Keith? You feel like you're out there a lot now in the clubs. What do you see more of a direction that comedy's going in just on the local scene of where we're at?
It's more shock and awe, more if I can get you to dislike me, but that's not who you are. You're going to try to get that audience to, it's not like it's ha-ha funny. You didn't write anything that's funny. You're just writing something to see if I could get a kickback from you. Oh, you didn't like what I said? And then it's like, I'm just going to keep going. So it's
So do you think comics are missing that whole stage of setting up a comic, punchline, joke, punchline, segues, all that?
if there's nobody teaching them how to do it, they're just coming out
Right.
looking at shows.
Nobody's
and then
teaching that,
they're
yeah.
watching something thinking, I can do like this. But if you don't have guidance and that's not your style anyway, I'm going to get people to dislike me because negativity is now hitting big if it's viral. If it can go viral because it's negative, and they're just like, I'm going to keep that going because I'm going to get a check. Because how strong is positive? It's the same mentality of, let's just say it's a clean show.
Right.
And you could be in a bar. And you're like, somebody like, hey, how many people want to hear some dirty jokes? Only the loud people are going to be like, yeah. And the ones that are going to be like, well, we don't want to ruin it for everybody, so we're not going to say, no clean. Can we just do clean?
Oh, you mean
No.
they're just going to be quiet 'cause they don't want to offend
And next
the-
thing you know, it's going to go down dirty road.
Huh.
And they're going to be sitting there like, man.
What's the threshold of a dirty comic?
Well, there's just a time and a place for anything, it depends on what how the show is built and what kind of people come to see it, and it caters to it should cater to what the crowd wants, in that sense. But if the majority of the crowd doesn't want something, there's no sense forcing it upon them,
So it's clean comics, so where's that line drawn that it becomes dirty?
Language one, and then sensibility next, because you can still offend people without using bad words.
language.
Right.
And so it's just having that sensibility. I just look at it. Would you say that to your grandmother?
Yeah,
If you're
would
sitting
you-
there with your, would you say
Masturbation?
that to
We're
your grandma?
going to do some
Would you-
masturbation.
Maybe.
Would you
You know,
talk about
Grandma
that with
might
your
be a cool
She
cat.
might be though.
She might be into it.
So that could be the crowd.
Well,
She
that's-
might be that.
That's your country ass
would
family.
you,
That's where,
would you
that's where
bet
that
your
comes
life
from.
on that for a room full of grandmas? Would you bet your life
Room
on
full
that?
of grandmas.
Which
No.
we've done. We've done roomfuls of grandmas.
No, I wouldn't do it in front of a room full of grandmas.
Right. I mean, to me, I think having that sensibility and the ability, I think you should have, as a comic, ability to do anything that's required. So if it is a room full of grandmas, you should have the sensibility to be able to entertain them and not be just, not offend them. If you're a good comic, I think that's part of the goal of being a
What'd you
comic.
say? What'd you say earlier? You said read the room.
I always
Read the room.
I always
Read the room.
believe in reading the room.
Sure.
Because I always
I do too.
believe that the room. So when you book comics, you bring them into your bar show, because comedy clubs have a vibe.
Right.
You have a comedy club. People are
Sure.
there to watch comedy.
Right.
They know what comedy is. They paid tickets to see
Right.
a comedy show.
Mm-hmm.
They have a good idea based on the internet, the movies,
Right.
their intention of who they like as
That's right.
comedians. So they know exactly what they're buying.
Right. And
Bar-
that's the same thing as going to a movie. You should know
Right.
something about the movie. before go to-
Because this is the movie you like.
Right.
Comedy shows at a bar when they don't have a lineup for anybody to review or see.
Yeah.
This is where it becomes tricky because you're relying on the booker or the venue to promote comedy and to give you a comedy show. And right away, you're just saying, well, I like George Carlin. I like Bill Cosby. I like, what's her name? Paula Poundstone.
Sure.
And then you go to a show and you get none of that. Instead,
Right.
you get offensive language, or you get
Sure.
stuff that's just not in your wheelhouse of what you want to hear. So then you're like, this comedy sucks. So I say, as a let's say the crowd's that way. I say, as a comedian, when you walk into a room and you say, okay, this is the room. The first comic takes the bullet.
Okay.
Obvious, because
Sure.
he or she's gonna go up and get.
Sets the tone for the
And,
night.
Yeah, and that's what I always say. When I host, see what I say, how I say it, what I say, and see how the room reacts.
Right.
If they don't react to a F-bomb, or they seem offended about certain material, then stay away. And that's where you, as a professional comedian, need to
Right.
change your jokes.
Right.
You don't have to change your entire set, but do understand that there might be stuff that's
Right.
not going to go over.
Right.
But there's a lot of comics who are young who feel like, well, fuck that, it's my comedy, this is what.
Sure.
Problem is, they don't know you.
Right.
So they didn't pay for you.
Right.
They paid to watch a comedy show.
Yeah.
So when I say read the room, unless they knew John Smith was on the show tonight and they've seen John Smith several times and
Right.
they like John Smith's material,
Yeah.
then you can't just force John Smith's comedy down people's throats when they don't seem like they're going to like it.
Yeah.
And I say that's also a promoter's fault. If a
Right.
promoter books you,
Right.
knowing damn well that your room doesn't like
There's
that
that
stuff.
wiggle room, because I've always compared the stand-up comic to being like a quarterback. I mean, you have your playbook, you know what plays you want to run, but then you have to call audibles depending on the defense.
Right away.
So you have to change on the fly and stuff like that. And
And you don't have to change because of one person.
No.
But if the room is just not like, okay.
But if you want to matriculate the ball down the field, you have to read what's out there.
Yeah, 55 and older community.
Yeah.
Obviously, stuff I did tonight, I wouldn't do in a 55 and older community comedy show.
You're right.
But that's where I changed the way I look at it. I look at tonight, young audience,
Sure.
other than the audience, not a young
Right,
audience.
right.
So you don't do the same material. But I don't think comics are really seeing that anymore. They think, well, this is my set, this is what I do.
Right.
Everybody should accept my.
That's because they don't
That's
have
not
material.
how life, but that's not how life works.
They
in
don't have
general.
material enough.
Well, they don't
have enough
but they
material.
also don't have a way of changing that material to be kind of in between. Like,
Yeah.
say, like you said, if it becomes a problem with cussing. If it becomes a problem with cussing, then don't cuss.
Right.
Can you still do the same jokes without cussing?
Well, that's
sure.
yeah.
But if you can't, then maybe you need to change your jokes.
I need to work on it some more.
Yeah, because I know I can do my entire set and not cuss.
Right.
And then
And we
I
all
know,
can.
yeah, and I know I can do my entire set and do it the way I want. But that's just depending on the room.
Yeah.
But no one buys my show and says, I'm coming to see this guy only because
Sure.
I've seen his comedy
Right,
special,
right.
which I think is stupid anyways, that you have a comedy special and you're not even on television.
Uh-huh.
But again, You have a comedy special and you're not even on fucking TV. Why do you have a comedy special?
And you ought to see my new one.
Yeah.
I just went another hour.
That's like saying I'm an artist because I draw pictures in my house and I'm gonna put it. You should buy my art. Do you have it displayed anywhere? No, you should just fucking buy it. So I just think that comedians need to understand, and I think that's why it's important to do as many shows you can in many different types of rooms.
Well, that's why the advice always is for especially young comics. No, if you learn to do it, it's easier to learn to do it clean, and then you can dirty it up later,
Right.
as opposed to try to learn it dirty and then try to clean it up later. It's just because you got to know the humor is there. And that's what the clean really tells you, whether the humor is actually there. Because to me, people who go, I only like dirty comedy. Really? That's the only thing you can laugh at is something really crude and lowbrow. You can't laugh at anything else in life that doesn't have those
Yeah,
elements.
you watch cartoons.
Right, I mean,
cartoons are dirty.
You don't see anything funny in life that doesn't have to do with your dick or whatever. I mean, really? Nothing makes you laugh except your dick.
No.
I mean, it just doesn't make
My
sense.
dick makes me laugh sometimes. That's between me and my
No,
dick.
there are times where your dick does make you laugh, but there's nothing else in life that makes you laugh. Just how people behave or what the things you
That's a
observe.
good point.
That's all I'm saying. You know.
But then again, to go
So
to
how
that-
much time? Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, because when you get to the point, like you said, if it's a bar and you said the first person sets the pace. So if you're getting F-bombs from the get-go and then the second one, F-bombs and dick jokes, F-bombs, and then it's like, okay,
Well, you know though.
nobody's writing.
But you know though. If the bar, sometimes bar shows are just. It's just fucking.
No, and I understand that too.
Gloves off and
Right.
they just want you to.
And you should be
But
ready to
wait,
drop the
shit.
gloves
no,
too.
but wait,
That's a pro.
wait, because I mean, for you to say that, because when I was doing, when I do those bars, and then the first thing back in the days, it'd be like, "Oh, you're gonna do this biker bar, Keith. What are you gonna do?" I'm gonna still do my set.
Yeah.
You're gonna still keep it.
But
well,
you're
keep
you're
it-
gonna be like tonight. You're gonna be a little more.
Yeah, you'll sauce
You'll
it
be
up.
a little more
You'll spice
frisky
it up.
and make it a little more like.
But see, I still didn't have to go where I went then. But
Uh-huh.
it's like if it's funny, they're gonna laugh, and they're not even
Right,
gonna know
that's
that I
right.
used any
That's
profanity.
right.
They're not even gonna know it.
Yeah,
but
that's right.
and you said I'm hitting you hard, so I'm trying to take you off of the focus of the F bombs because it's like, okay, but who's gonna stand out? Funny or the fucker?
The fucker. No, I'm gonna go with the fucker.
Nah, I'm not. No, it's not gonna.
Sometimes I also think that it's also in your persona as a comic. Like, take a look at me.
Okay, let's.
I
look
come
at you.
across sarcastic and angry. Sometimes.
I don't know.
Sometimes.
I don't think you come
Yeah,
across.
but I come
don't think you
across-
come across as angry.
But I come across like Bill Burr.
You,
kind of
you smile.
comic.
You got
I know,
you're
but
ha-
I
you
but
got a
I
happy
also
demeanor.
have like I.
You're entertaining yourself too.
Yeah,
you know?
so I come across like this is how I am in real life when I tell stories. So I'm not going to change my storytelling
Right.
for a bar audience. I always
Right.
put this in a bar setting.
Sure.
In a comedy club, I try to do the professional thing and see who I'm opening for or featuring
Well,
for.
that's another aspect.
and
of
also
it.
try to set the tone by saying I'm not going to be vulgar or I'm not going to be edgy.
Right.
I'm not going to use certain jokes that I normally would say because I know that this type of comedian is not that type of
You got to
comic.
be smart. You got to be smart up there if you want to get in the door.
If you wanna stay.
you want to come back. If
Right.
they want to invite you back, and then the more you come back, the more leeway you get. That's like how it works. But if that's what's asked of you at the beginning, that's what's part of the deal.
But not very many clubs ask of that in the beginning.
No, well,
Like, not very many clubs even say
well, they don't tell
anything.
you what to do. They'll let you
No.
go up there, and then they'll see what you do, and then they
And then they go,
they'll make their
oh,
assessment.
you can't do that.
Right,
And after,
right,
then
right.
you feel like an asshole. Then
But
you're
they don't
like,
say that. Sometimes they just don't
Yeah.
hire you back.
This one, well, sometimes they may say you can't say those things, and then like,
Right.
people are like, "Well, there goes my whole fucking mind
I
frame."
know. Oh yeah.
Now I was having a good time, but now you told me I offended people. Or
But see,
whatever
we're
it is.
back up. You were having a good time, but were they having a good time? So is my money where they're at?
Were
They're
they
not.
laughing?
They're not enjoying. But you're like you. I did my set. But you said earlier, like you said, when you're doing your thing on stage, you're doing you. You like that's just how I am in real life. When they're on stage, that's not how they are in real life. They're not using cuss words.
Who?
Other comics that are up there just dropping F bombs and everything else. They're not doing it off stage when they're talking to you. It's
No.
just on stage. It
I feel
changes.
like sometimes comics are putting on a persona
Yeah.
that is trying to get you feel like, ooh, this guy's edgy, and then you're like, you're not edgy, you're
Right,
just being
Right.
offensive.
See, it's lack of
Thank you.
authenticity. Are you authentic or you're not? That's really where.
And you know,
that's
people
why
are
I
going to
draw the
notice
line.
that. They're going to notice
That's
that.
why you said they read you
Yeah.
and be like, okay, this is
Yeah.
like,
Look
I
at
come
me,
off
like,
this way.
this 6'2" guy, 280 pounds. He's got to come across somewhat like.
You don't look like you weigh 280.
Do I?
No, you look like you 262.
I wish. I actually weigh 290.
Damn.
To be honest with you. Damn. That's what I said too when I got on the damn scale. I was like, motherfucking 290.
Imagine what the scale is saying.
Yeah.